Section 1. Level 1, the police recruit. Level 1, police recruit. You're 21. Welcome to Shadow POV, where we dismantle the systems that shape the human soul. You don't walk into the academy. You are processed into it. A clerk hands you a plastic number plate. Not a name, a number. You wear it on your chest for the next 6 months. You eat with it. You run with it. You sleep in a barracks knowing that by the time those grueling months are over, some of the face sleeping around you right now won't make it to graduation. Before we step deeper into the cold reality of this life simulation, hit that subscribe button to support our tactical deep dives. Your recruit class starts with 43 people. The training facility sits on the isolated, forgotten eastern edge of Coldwell City. Gray, unpainted concrete buildings loom over a running track that never fully dries out, perpetually slick with rain. The atmosphere is thick, sticking to your throat with the scent of carbon-heavy CLP gun oil, harsh industrial floor cleaner, and the dry, bitter aroma of absolute anxiety. 43 individuals simultaneously desperate to prove they are good enough. You carry no badge, no authority, no weapon outside of supervised drills. You carry only the staggering expectation to earn them or go home. Section 2, Level 1. Continued. The 1-second rule and first freeze. But the institutional machinery doesn't care about your exhaustion. It quickly shifts from breaking your identity to testing your survival instincts. On week 3, Sergeant Briggs puts a scenario on the whiteboard. A narrow alleyway, a crowded urban sidewalk, and an unidentified subject holding an object that might be a weapon. You have exactly 1 second, he says, stepping back into the shadows. Go. Nobody answers fast enough. He lets the heavy silence sit in the room for a full, agonizing minute, allowing our collective failure to sink in. That hesitation, he tells us, is the exact metric that gets people killed out here. Yours or theirs. 1 second is a lifetime to be wrong. You write that line down in your notebook, knowing you will carry it for the rest of your career. Week 6. You run your first live simulation in the shoot house. A standard domestic call. A plywood door opens, and someone suddenly charges from a dark hallway you completely fail to cover. You freeze for 3/4 of a second before pulling your weapon. Your evaluator marks the hesitation on a clipboard without looking up. You don't freeze again. The shame modifies your behavior faster than any lectures. Week 12. You qualify on the range under blinding artificial downpours. Week 14. You clear defensive tactics with bruised ribs. Week 18 brings the final evaluation. A multi-stage incident with no single correct answer. Just sequential decisions that either hold together or collapse. Yours hold. By graduation, 11 recruits are gone. 32 walk across the stage. Badges pinned. Your father shakes your hand too hard, meaning something he can't say out loud. You are a sworn officer of the Coldwell City Police Department, but you are not finished becoming one. Section 3, Level 2, Patrol Officer 1. That hard, silent handshake carries you straight out of the academy gates and strips away whatever theoretical comfort you had left. Level 2, Patrol Officer 1. Probationary status. You're 21, almost 22. Walking across that stage didn't magically turn you into a police officer in the full, functional sense. It merely renders you a probationary asset sworn, badged, and thrown directly into the field, but still fiercely scrutinized. continuously evaluate, and entirely provisional, the department assigns you to the 4th District on the city's crumbling east side. Your field training officer is a 10-year veteran named Corporal Ames. Before you even turn the key for your first shift together, he looks at you from across the center console and says one thing. Forget the academy scenarios. Watch how people move, not what they say. You spend the next 12 months learning the brutal, real-world truth behind that single sentence. It is an endless blur of rain-soaked night shifts, grueling weekend doubles, volatile domestic calls, horrific traffic accidents, and quiet medical emergencies. You write exhaustive incident reports until your hand physically cramps around the pen. You're forced to talk to people on the absolute worst days of their miserable lives, desperate to navigate human trauma while trying to leave things slightly less broken than you originally found them. Ames watches everything, pulling your leash just enough to see if you survive the pressure. Section 4, Level 2, continued. The warehouse district incident. Amy's silent observation leaves no room for mistakes, forcing you to develop a hypervigilant instinct just to survive the streets. Month 3, on patrol balances on a razor's edge when you respond to a priority domestic disturbance call on a suffocatingly narrow street right off the warehouse district. The subject explodes out of the front door before your boots even hit the pavement. His posture is rigid, his jaw clenched, and his hands are buried deep inside his heavy jacket pockets. You don't blindly rush the porch. Instead, you read the volatile geometry of the situation, shifting your weight backward to create immediate distance while treating the steel frame of your cruiser door as ballistic cover. You talk the man down over 7 agonizing minutes, your voice low, steady, and unyielding, diffusing the crisis completely without calling for emergency backup. Ames doesn't offer a single word of praise in the heat of the moment. That night, during the cold routine of report review, he circles your decision to retreat and establish distance with a red felt pen. That one, he says, his voice flat and devoid of emotion, was right. That is the entirety of your debrief, but it is enough. At the end of your probationary year, your commander countersigns the evaluation. You advance to patrol officer 2, fully sworn, fully accountable, and ready for what comes next. Section 5, Level 3, SWAT candidate. That silent validation on your report doesn't just change your rank, it opens a doorway to the deepest, most calculated layers of the department. Level 3, Patrol Officer 2, SWAT candidate. You're 23. The agency strictly requires a minimum of 2 full years on the job before you can even think about applying for special operations selection. You submit your tactical packet the exact morning you hit that milestone. Selection is 4 days of pure clinical engineering designed to isolate and break your psychological core. 41 candidates report to the staging lot at 0500 on a freezing Monday. Every single one of them has at least 2 years of clean street experience. You're acutely aware that you're among the youngest in the lot. A realization that forces you to work twice as hard rather than talk louder. Day 1 is raw physical exhaustion. A 2-mile run in full operational gear. A grueling 185-pound dummy drag over 100 meters of unforgiving asphalt and timed obstacle course sprints. 28 candidates crawl into Day 2. Day 2 tests structural room clearing dynamics in the concrete shoot house under brutal time conditions. You are thrown into a two-person element drill with a candidate you have never met, forced to clear a dark, four-room maze using only tactical hand signals. An evaluator follows your shoulder in absolute silence, capturing every mistake on a clipboard. He offers zero feedback. You either learn to read your own flaws or you wash out. Section 6. Level 4, SWAT Operator. The brutal, psychological gauntlet of Day 3 deliberately breaks those who rely on pure muscle memory, forcing the remaining few to realize that out here, you either evolve or you wash out immediately. Day 3 systematically shatters candidates with synthetic sleep deprivation and shifting contradictory instructions designed to test your mental breaking point. A highly decorated 7-year veteran simply sits down in the freezing mud mid-drill. Completely defeated, an evaluator quietly collects his candid number, pointing toward the dark parking lot without uttering a single word. By the morning of Day 4, only 11 weathered candidates remain standing for the final panel interview. You sit directly before Commander Vasquez and the department psychologist who silently dissects your micro-expressions. They don't ask if you can handle extreme stress. They want to know if you possess the raw, unvarnished honesty to admit when your judgment was flawed. You answer from the gut, and 4 days later, your phone rings. You are conditionally accepted into a 6-month probationary period where the active operators, not the brass, will ultimately vote on your future. Vasquez hands you your first specialized operational sheet with a cold warning. Selection was the option. This is the actual job. They're entirely different. Level 4, SWAT Operator. You're 24. Being welcomed into the unit and being fully trusted by the stack are two completely different metrics. Trust in this dark world is never assigned by rank. It is witnessed slowly across dozens of midnight training evolutions that completely remove your social mask, leaving behind only what is actually there. Your true test arrives at 11:40 pence. Missed on a rain-slicked Wednesday. Section 7, Level 5 and 6, Senior Operator to Corporal. Overcoming that fraction of a second during your first high-stakes deployment doesn't just sharpen your reflexes, it completely re-engineers how your brain maps an environment before you even consciously perceive it. Level 5, Senior Operator. You're 28. 4 years embedded in the unit alters how you inhabit a room. You don't actively choose to read structural layouts anymore. It happens with a cold, automatic fluency. Your eyes instantly trace entry points, geometric threat angles, and dangerous choke points. Your mind constantly calculates the mechanical difference between cover and concealment, knowing exactly what merely hides your silhouette versus what actually stops a high-velocity ballistic round. Vasquez is promoted to Corporal, opening his coveted element leader slot, and the responsibility is handed to you without celebration. You sit in the dark that night, realizing that being the point in the stack means 4 other lives are completely synchronized with your physical movement. Your first deployment leading the element is a volatile standoff with Elias Burke, a former contractor with advanced tactical training, barricaded inside an industrial warehouse. You spend 90 grueling minutes deep in planning, building exhaustive contingency for corrupted entry points and sudden communication failures. At 5:30, the breach goes live. Your element flows through the loading dock. clearing dark corridors and storage rooms in absolute silence until Burke surrender peacefully in the intensity brief. Calloway looks at your logs and flatly notes your communication was sharp. There is no ceremony, just a silent acknowledgement that you kept the system together. Level 6, Corporal. You're 31. You begin supervising tactical training cycles and monitoring newer operators, realizing that true leadership is witnessed in the quiet gaps where nobody is grading you. Section 8. Level 7, SWAT Sergeant. Stepping into mentorship means you're no longer just keeping yourself alive. You're actively tracking the subtle flaws in others before those microseconds of hesitation turn fatal on the streets. You spent 3 dedicated months working quietly with Castillo, a brilliant 26-year-old operator who possesses flawless mechanics but routinely over-communicates under high-stress conditions. You clean weapons late into the night, showing him exactly what professional silence sounds like until his ear learns the difference. Then comes the winter morning when a critical kidnapping call forces your element through a barricaded door. 22 seconds from mechanical breed to a frightened 12-year-old boy named Daniel Varger, wrapped tightly in a silver thermal blanket. You stand on the frost-covered grass, watching the ambulance door slam shut, realizing that every ounce of paperwork must be flawless before this operation is truly put to bed. Level 7, SWAT Sergeant. You're 35. You pass the promotion exam on your first clean attempt and inherit the terrifying responsibility of a full squad, supervisor, 10 distinct human lives split across 2 elements. Lieutenant Calloway sits you down in an empty office, offering a brutal truth that no department training checklist can capture. As an operator, your only metric was personal execution. As a sergeant, if those 10 people fail, the catastrophic weight lands entirely on your shoulders. You design punishing, unpredictable training cycles because, complacency destroys elite units. When you notice an emotional flatness in Draper, a 7-year veteran, you don't file a cold administrative report. You sit with him on a tactical truck bumper, talking about absolutely nothing for 20 minutes because protecting your people means reading the quiet spaces in their souls. Section 9. Level 8 and 9. Team Commander to Captain. Protecting your operators from their own internal flatness sets the baseline for what tactical management actually demands when the entire system is pushed to its absolute threshold. The defining test arrives during a massive bank hostage crisis on the main commercial corridor, forcing you to coordinate sniper sidelines and squad mechanics through a grueling 7-hour standoff that culminates in a clean, negotiated surrender. Level 8. Lieutenant and SWAT Team Commander. You're 40. Calloway clears out his desk on a quiet Friday afternoon, leaving behind a room filled with specific protective laughter that you only truly understand if you have bled for it. He shakes your hand last and tells you nobody is ever genuinely ready for the weight, but you will do the job anyway. Your perspective undergoes a radical shift. You are no longer responsible for 10 lives, but all 22 operators, their capabilities, and every catastrophic command choice made at the forward post. During a volatile 6-hour siege involving an armed suspect, your sergeants rely on your pure judgment when you choose to stand down a tactical breach at hour 5, giving a trusted negotiator 10 final minutes to secure a clean surrender. Level 9, Captain and Commanding Officer. You're 44. Moving into the Special Operations Division means managing complex budgets while protecting the unit's strategic integrity. You promote Sergeant Harlan to lieutenant based purely on her clinical judgment, knowing that confusing seniority with excellence is how elite systems slowly degrade when a mass transit crisis strikes the downtown hub. You step back, letting Harlan run the floor while you manage the political perimeter. Section 10. Level 10, Deputy Chief. Insulating the unit from external politics leaves a textbook blueprint for the new generation, forcing you to realize that your ultimate role is no longer about managing crises on the ground, but permanently embedding that hard-earned wisdom into the very architecture of the department. Sitting alone at 9:00 p. Memph, watching Castillo run his element flawlessly. You see the living proof of your investment. Level 10. Commander and Deputy Chief of Special Operations. You're 48. The Chief brings you in on a quiet Thursday morning, presenting a cold choice without a formal file on her desk. She tells you that taking this rank means you stop being the operator who personally fixes things and start being the system architect who designs the machinery that fixes things. Those are entirely different jobs. Your policies now dictate long-term training, safety models for recruits who haven't even joined the agency yet. And your multi-year budget allocations determine what life-saving equipment exists when the next catastrophic tactical event strikes the city. Attending the fall graduation, you watch 43 fresh faces cross the stage carrying plastic numbers instead of names. Completely blind to what this career will demand, a young female recruit studies a 20-year-old unit photograph, spots your unlined face, and asks what it takes to get there. You feel the crushing weight of the thresholds. The 300 sleepless alternative runs. And the human cost, everything, you say. And then, a little more than that. She nods like she knows. She doesn't, but she will. The relentless upward trajectory within a highly clinical, elite system ultimately forces a profound internal evolution, transforming an individual from a disposable pawn into the very architect of a machinery itself. This structural life simulation strips away personal identity to build tactical precisions, establishing that high-level performance is never achieved through loud declarations, but through absolute synchronization with a collective organism. Every tang of authority demands a heavier psychological cost, shifting the burden from immediate survival to the crushing responsibility of human judgment. The true nature of systemic power is not the accumulation of personal status, but the quiet, unvarnished willingness to absorb the consequences of choices made in the dark. The definitive takeaway from this operational path is that masterclass execution requires hyper-detailed preparation and an unwavering commitment to personal accountability. Out here, hesitation is the exact metric that breaks complex designs. To apply this raw architecture to your current lifestyle, you must actively eliminate emotional variance when executing high-pressure objectives. Stop relying on grand theoretical scenarios and focus entirely on mastering the microscopic habits that govern your daily environment. Build trust slowly through witnessed consistency rather than seeking cheap validation. Most importantly, accept that true leadership is engineered in the unseen spaces where nobody is grading your performance. You must be willing to pay the ultimate price of discipline, knowing that building a system that solves problems requires you to first master the absolute synchronization of your own actions. Which level of this tactical progression did you find the most challenging or eye-opening? Please drop your thoughts in the comment section below so we can discuss your perspective. And don't forget to subscribe to help support the channel as we prepare our next deep dive.